Welcome back to Two Wheels to Meals. When we left last time, we were headed to Stuart Island off the south coast of New Zealand. We came to Stuart Island in part because of the dark skies, a chance for Matt to see the Southern Lights. There's not a lot of restaurants on Stuart Island, so the first night we ended up in the pub. Matt had fish and chips, and Vicky had a salmon. The next morning, we decided to get a bus tour. It didn't take very long. There are only 12 kilometers of roads. We went to Mamaku Point for two particular features. One is one end of the Maui chain. There's an art piece which connects Stuart Island to the main South Island. And you can see the kiwi fence to protect from the rats on the island. This point here, where Matt would come to see the Southern Lights. We had a mimosa at our bed and breakfast and met the kua, type of parrot, looking for handouts. Then we headed off to see some of the 300 kilometers of hiking trails. This was Half Moon Bay. Then we headed on to Golden Bay. Paths were well maintained. Well, taking us through the forest. Then up to where the road ends. Reminded us a lot of the California coast. We ended up back in the pub again, this time for trivia night. Matt saw the stars, but he didn't get to see the Southern Lights this time. Then it was time for us to head back to the mainland of New Zealand. Picking up the camper van, we went to Stirling Point. And we found the other end of the chain that Maui used to connect the islands. Matt left his mark. Then we headed back up the island toward Dunedin again. This night was at the Dunedin Holiday Park, right next to the beach. Again, the coast reminds us a lot of California. Took a walk down to an Italian restaurant. Next morning, we were back on the road again, like every day. But first, breakfast stop. It's just like hanging out in Santa Cruz. Couple lattes, chicken and waffles for Matt, and an Eggs Benedict for Vicky. First, a little diesel, and then we're on our way. This time, we were heading south. On our way back up to Dunedin, Matt had seen this moto cafe. He decided it would be a good time to visit. Part of our two wheels adventure. An interesting mix of motorcycles and fishing. Talked with Steve, the owner, for a little while. Then it was back on the road, headed toward Wanaka. Stopped for a little wine tasting at the Wooing Tree. Pulled into another campsite. Time for a libation at Cork. Then back to the camper for dinner. Spinach and cheese ravioli and a salad. Woke up to rain the next morning. So a little breakfast in the van, and then it stops, just like Malaysia. Wanaka has a lot of things to keep people busy. Very outdoors activities. Remind us a lot of North Lake Tahoe in California. Ritual Cafe for coffee, selfie, and back on the road. We were headed to the west coast of the island. And the first of many one-lane bridges. Lots of falls all the way across the mountains toward the west. Lots of falls. Gradually the land flattened out. You could tell we were near the coast. Very much like California. Amazing view around every corner. We originally pulled into Frans-Josef just to get some diesel, and then decided, let's just stay here. So we did. Met a friend, then headed off to dinner. Cheesy bread to start. Matt had a chicken fillet with mushroom sauce, and Vicky had a lamb shank with mashed potatoes. Then back to the camper for a couple games of Connect 4. Vicky won all the games. We had thought about trying to go see the glaciers, but clouds were there in the morning, so we went to see the Kiwi Conservation Center. Amazing birds kiwis are. Small birds, but they lay huge eggs. The season was over for us while we were there, but we learned all about the kiwi. And the tuatara, little like a living dinosaur. Like we did it a lot in New Zealand. We were hiking again. New Zealand has lots of well-maintained and marked trails. This hike led us up to the Tatari Tunnels, dug through a mountain in 1897 to bring water to a gold mining operation. Turned out to be a bit too much water farther in. We met these three gentlemen from Singapore, and then headed back down. We always see in New Zealand waterfalls. Great hike. Back to the camper van for a well-deserved cheers. Next morning, back on the road again on our journey towards Christchurch. Found the Mirror Lake. Lots of glacier melt. And this town, part of the Ross Goldfields. Very interesting statue. We were headed to Greymouth and Monteith's Brewery on the west coast of New Zealand since 1868. No breweries in Malaysia, so this was a treat for Vicky. Vicky had a taster, Matt had a burger, Vicky had lamb sliders, and some fried cauliflower to share. Back in the van, this time headed over the mountains, back east toward Christchurch. This viewpoint was very aptly named Death's Corner. we hit the summit at Arthur's Pass. One of the last one-lane bridges for us to cross. And as always in New Zealand, spectacular views. One last night in the camper van trying to eat up our food, grilled cheese, some leftovers, and one last cheers in the van. We picked up our car in the morning. Camper van. Well, what do you think?
It was pretty cozy.
Would you do it
again?
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I liked it.
Said goodbye to the camper van. Matt almost got to go for a two-wheel ride. And then we went to the Sundog Diner for breakfast. We had a biscuit and gravy. We headed to our hotel, the Observatory, located as part of the Arts Centre, formerly part of Canterbury College, and the Christchurch Boys and Christchurch Girls High Schools. Got to see the Great Hall, which is now a performance space. And the chapel is now an art space. When Matt met Steve at the Moto Cafe, he told him about Chris, who has an amazing garage outside of Christchurch. So many two wheels. Something for Matt to aspire to. Thanks, Chris. Our last evening in Christchurch, we saw some more memorials, which are all over New Zealand. And finally found a place to eat. Mexican-style cuisine. Matt had chicken sliders, and Vicky had a quesadilla. Matt met this guy. Christchurch is still rebuilding after the earthquake over 10 years ago. Saw the Tramway restaurant. And they have lots of public art. And in the morning, we hit the road for Queenstown. On our way up to Dunedin, we had seen something called
The Moraraki boulders, also known as Tai Hinaki, are unusually large spherical boulders lying along a stretch of the Kohihe Beach on the wave-out Otago coast of New Zealand between Moraki and Hampton. These boulders are gray-colored, septarian concretions which have been exhumed from the mudstone and bedrock enclosing them and concentrated on the beach by coastal erosion. The most striking aspect of their boulders is their unusually large size and spherical shape, with a distinct bimodal size distribution. Approximately one-third of the boulders range in size from 0.5 to 1 meter. The other two-thirds are from 1.5 to 2.2 meters. The boulders consist of mud, fine silt, and clay, cemented by calcite. The rock comprising the boulders is riddled with large cracks called septaria that radiate outward from a hollow core lined with scalenohedral calcite crystals. The process or processes that created the septaria within Moraki boulders and other septarian concretions remain an unsolved matter for which a number of possible explanations have been proposed.
So when you see me, don't be shy, 'cause we're gonna dance our way to the sky, yeah. 'Cause I got a feeling that it's gonna be a good day. Hey, 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 hey. It's gonna be a good day. I got a feeling that it's gonna be a good day. Hey, 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 hey. It's gonna be a good day. A good day.
and saw our last sunset in New Zealand. In Queenstown, we spent our last night in another pub with some great music. Matt got a hamburger. Vicky had a shepherd's pie. One last breakfast at the boathouse on Lake Wakatipu in Queenstown. Matt had fried egg on toast, some hush puppies, and Vicky had another Benedict. Our last selfie in Queenstown. One last look, and we said goodbye to New Zealand. And back to Penang. It was a last minute thing. We probably didn't get to do everything that we wanted. We did not get to do everything that we had hoped to do, but it was still a great trip.
And we got to do some things we didn't expect to.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We had a great time bringing it to you. Like and subscribe, and hit that notification button. Check in again with us for more of our travels during our time in Asia. Cheers.